Hey there, welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab some espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode 177 is titled, Boost Your Musical Voice Through Podcasting, Part 1. Hey there, music friend. Welcome back to another Flute 360 podcast episode. If you have been a listener for some time, you know that I am a die-hard fan when it comes to podcasting and the many benefits that podcasting could give a modern-day musicpreneur. So the fact that you are a modern-day flutist, you know that I am extremely pumped about what this digital platform can do for you and for your music career and or business. I've talked about how podcasting has benefits such as it being cost effective. You get to build these really beautiful, intimate, and genuine relationships between you, the host, and your guests, and your listeners, and the list goes on and on. I actually just did a webinar that was really fun with Kathy Blockey's group a few Saturdays ago. So if you want to check out that replay, just DM me and I will send you the YouTube link. So I digress. I'm kind of giving you a short recap about the benefits to podcasting from this entrepreneurial perspective. But today I thought it would be really cool to mix things up a bit. I want to give you the many benefits to podcasting from the musical side of things. The reason being is because, as performers, we have a lot of different pain points. And one pain point that I see time and time again is how performers are really struggling with performance anxiety. That's just one of them. Other times I'm seeing through Facebook groups and news feeds and Instagram how people really want to own their own artistic voice and sell it on the stage or sell it through an audition or a recording session, but they just don't know how to do that. I get it. I empathize with you. I don't know if I have shared this in the past, but hey, what the heck? Here we go. I have dealt in the past, especially during my collegiate years and during my graduate studies, an immense amount of high performance anxiety, especially on the stage when performing. Now, there are a lot of different factors that contributed to my high performance anxiety. We won't go there, but just know that it existed. Now, I'm not perfect. I still struggle with it from time to time, but it has resolved itself immensely. And the solution that I have found to help me is basically, it boils down to podcasting. Before, I would go onto stage and I would physically shake, like no joke. I would physically shake because I was so nervous playing in front of people. My stomach would be in knots and I would dread it. But since the birth of my digital baby, which is the Flute 360 podcast, I have been able to own my voice as an artist. And it's all because I have been able to be a podcast host for 3+ years. And I want the same for you. So my heart aches when I hear performers not owning their own voice and really struggling with this because that totally goes against what music is all about, right? I won't get into that. We'll dive into that here in a little bit, but I want you to be able to thrive on the stage And so I want to offer you a different perspective today. We've heard the experts talk about, solutions to our performance anxiety and hearing their suggestions when it comes to deep breathing and yoga and other techniques. These are all valid. Some of these techniques have helped me, and they have served me in my career for a particular season. So I'm not dissing it at all. If it works for you, go for it. I am all in. But if you are still struggling and teetering this line of not really being able to own your own artistic voice and sell it on stage and connect and engage with your audience in a very intimate and genuine way, then listen to today's episode. We're going to talk about podcasting and how it really has transformed my playing. And not just my playing. Now, that's just one testimonial. I have heard from my podcasting musician friends from other areas and other niches how podcasting has served them, how it has helped them to find their unique voice and to really own it and sell it to their listeners. So it's not just my review and my testimonial. I've heard this to be true for other podcasting musicians as well. And the reason why I think it has served me well is because I realized that I had a voice to share and that there's only one Heidi out there to offer my unique perspective as a flutist. And I came to this realization because of the 100+ interviews that I have done with musicians, flutists, educators, inventors, composers alike for the last 3 years. I mean, seriously, at first, when I started talking with these people, I would be completely fangirling. I would be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm talking to so-and-so and so-and-so? Are you kidding me? Someone pinch me. And then I would, just like my prior collegiate self, would get myself into a frenzy and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm on, air quote on. I'm talking with, Jane or Joe, who's this major celebrity. Who am I to sit in the same room as them? But as interviews went by, as time went by, I realized that everybody's path was extremely unique. There was not one story or one person's experience and or career that resembled remotely another person's career. It was mind-blowing to me. I noticed that these inventors made these flute gadgets, or these composers composed a specific genre of music because that's what they had to offer. And so when I realized that all of these different performers, educators, composers really started owning their own unique path, it gave me confidence to do the same for myself and for my career. So once I realized that everybody's path was completely different, then I came to the conclusion that there was no reason for me to compare apples to oranges. I had this realization that I could own my own voice. And to do that, and for me to really be freed up within the interview and really exposed during the recording sessions, was for me to be authentic. I found that if I wasn't truly owning my experience and my story and my voice, then the recording and the talk and the interview was really a slump. Truly, I would be in interviews and I would be thinking, oh, who am I to talk to Jane or Joe? Like, look at what they've accomplished, right? And by me not being authentic to my Heidi-ness, then I couldn't really own my voice. And so I encourage you to really open up, and if you're having a hard time with performance anxiety and owning your artistic voice, I want you to start experimenting with owning your authentic self and your authentic voice. Be vulnerable, be genuine, and great things are going to happen for you and for your playing. Now, I will say that, through all of the different Flute 360 interviews, I was always authentic. I was always my true self. But once I realized that I had something to offer that only I could offer, then that really blossomed for me. And I could be even more vulnerable, authentic, and genuine, even more so once I owned my own voice and I was really comfortable in my own skin. So by me being my authentic self, a lot of great things unfolded for me. My ideas flowed better. When I got to be my quirky self, and really own the fact that I like talking with my hands, I like giggling at myself, I like telling stories, these different attributes that really make up to who I am and how I speak publicly, my ideas flowed better. And it's so funny because when you notice other people's speaking styles, right? And I've seen a lot of different speaking styles across the years. Some people are very poised. Some people don't speak with their hands. Some people look right into the camera. And for me personally, those are some great characteristics of a great public speaker. But for me, when I was trying to be too much like them, I wasn't owning the recording space. I wasn't owning who I was and what I had to offer. I had to understand my unique personality. And I realized, oh my goodness, you're kind of quirky, Heidi. You're kind of dorky sometimes. And I often would downplay that and I would kind of stuff it underneath a pillow and I wouldn't want to expose it. But the more I let myself be quirky and dorky and kind of just fun in the moment, I was able to have fun with the interviewee. And the conversation then exploded into a really fun, magical time for me. Also, the more I was able to really hone in on who I was and what I had to offer, I had more fun in the podcasting process. And after some reflection, I realized that I was doing a disservice to you, the listener, and to myself. Because if I couldn't really speak what was on my heart and on my mind, then I wasn't bringing and I wasn't attracting the right people to my tribe. And that's not okay. You know what I mean? It's not okay to not give my full self. So I know I just threw out a lot of different nuggets, but apply that to the practice room. Apply that to the concert stage. And we're going to talk about that here at the end, but I just wanted to start plugging in those ideas of, applying what I'm talking about within the podcasting world to your music world. And again, I think everything is connected. The more you work on your craft of sewing, or the more you work with your horses for horsemanship, if you are a rider, you're going to find these amazing parallels that sync up to your flutistry day in and day out. And so I just want you to start connecting those dots because that's what this is all about, right? Is to really thrive as a flutist on the stage. And so if I'm losing you a bit and you're thinking, okay, Heidi, yeah, you're talking a lot about podcasting, but what does that have, to do for me, for the modern day flutist? There are parallels, I promise. So speaking about being authentic and vulnerable, when you start on a conversation with colleagues or friends and you guys are, in the right space to talk about certain topics, or, you're really exploring different perspectives and standpoints, and you have an environment in which your opinion matters, right? My question to you is, if there's a posed question and people are going around the panel and and talking about their viewpoints and their opinions, are you saying what you really want to say? Or are you articulating ideas in which you think they want to hear? And the reason why I kind of pose this question is because as I replay a lot of my podcast episodes, I kind of wonder, not that I was answering untruthfully, but did I really speak my complete truth? Now, of course, we all know socially that there are some lines to draw, and you don't want to be like socially awkward or whatever the case may be, or inappropriate. With all of that in mind, of course, ask yourself those questions. Are you answering the questions based on what they want to hear? And for me, I think that has happened a lot of times, actually, through Flute 360, if I'm being truly honest, because we want to be people pleasers sometimes. And unfortunately, that doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do the listeners any good because you're not owning your true voice and your true self. So be honest with yourself. Answer those questions honestly. For example, here's a quick story. A lot of times when people came across the Flute 360 podcast, they would say, "Oh, wow, that's an amazing pandemic project. Did you start it because of the pandemic?" And I said, "No, actually, I started Flute 360 in March of 2018. And as we all know, here in the States, we went into lockdown March of 2020. So it was 2 years prior to the pandemic." So I would say, no, it actually was 2 years prior to the lockdown. And they would kindly say, "Oh, wow, good for you. Good for you to put out something new and unique and good timing. How did you know? And wow, that's amazing, like for you to be so ahead of the times." And I would say, "Oh, thank you." Like I would humbly say, "Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. That's life. It was just good timing." But that really wasn't the answer that I wanted to give. And I've thought often, well, how was I supposed to know? Right? I mean, I didn't have a magic 8 ball to tell me these things. And I would just humbly say, "Oh, that's life and it worked out and good timing." But as a believer, what I really, truly wanted to say was, I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that God had a perfect timing for his plan on my life. And that's how it unfolded. But, being meek and timid, I found myself really never giving those answers. Now, that answer may be different for other people, but that is what I wanted to share at the time. But I was too afraid to show my true colors and to share my truth. So I'm encouraging myself and all of us to question, do you answer questions based on what you think they want to hear? Or are you honestly answering it the way you would like to say your answer? So that was just one example. I will get off my soapbox and I won't give you any more examples to bore you, but there were so many times when that scenario was true for me. And, again, bring it back to the music. Are you interpreting the Bach piece? Of course, disclaimer, after you have done your historical context studies and your Baroque traverso flute studies and the ornamentation, once the foundation is laid and you have the right tools, are you interpreting Bach based on what others have done in the past? Or are you shaping the phrase and are you dictating exactly what you want to say through the musical line based on your perspective and what you think Bach is saying through the phrase? Kind of interesting, isn't it? So the more you are authentic to your voice, both as a person and as an artist, I think you are connecting to yourself and to your tribe on such a deep level. And as a result, you are going to be super confident. And when I talk about confidence here, I'm talking about owning and taking up space, like physical space. When I am more confident, I feel like my body is larger. I feel like my skeletal frame is just wider. My feet are planted on the ground with more firmness, and I'm just more comfortable in my own skin. So we talked about taking up space within the body, but also when I'm more confident, I take up space within my environment. I'm really aware of the space around me from the front, the sides, and behind me. So take up space within your own bodily frame, but also take up space within the room. You will be surprised how this could really help ground you for your practice session or for a performance. So talking about owning your own voice and really being authentic and vulnerable and speaking your mind, now you need to apply it. I think you need to actually experience this. I can talk all day long about how podcasting has revolutionized my playing. But if you don't actually try it and experiment for yourself, then how will you know? So you don't have to start a podcast today, although I think it could really benefit you and your career and your business to amazing new levels. But if you don't want to actually produce your own podcast today, open up GarageBand. If you are a Mac user, GarageBand comes with your computer totally for free. And I know there are different DAW systems out there for PC users that come for free also. Open up your free DAW system and just record. Record an idea that you are extremely passionate about. There's something about actually practicing said topic. Pick a topic, whether it's flute tone or interpretation of musical scores. I don't care. Pick a topic and outline it. Figure out your 3 main points and practice it a few times. Then hit the record button, record your information, and then hit publish. Now, hitting publish for you may include sharing it with some friends, some colleagues, whatever. But if you experience it from jotting down an outline all the way to air quote publishing it, I'm telling you, time and time again, you're going to start seeing results in the practice room. Now, I think you need to do this a few times at least, if not a couple weeks or a couple months. I want you to get into this new podcasting recording world. The more you do it, the more you're in front of a microphone and you work on your public speaking, the better you're going to be able to articulate those ideas onto stage or into the recording sessions. And I felt completely, I'm going to be honest here, I felt completely validated when I was talking with Marina Piccinini. I'm not quite sure of the episode number, but I will go ahead and drop the link below in the show notes. But I remember her talking about one of her performances and her playing a Bach sonata. And I remember her talking about how she was so worried for some time of what the audience thought of her interpretation, because she knew it was a little bit different than what others had done in the past. And basically, I think it boiled down to her coming to the conclusion of, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm saying. I know what I want to say through this Bach sonata. So forget, this imposter syndrome, forget what others may or may not think about my performance, and I just want to get to it. Let me just do my thing. And that's exactly what I'm talking about today. And when you become an authority of your voice and you're comfortable in your own skin, I want you to practice, delivering these ideas where you're in front of the words, you're in front of the ideas, you're in the driver's seat. Same thing with your tone. When you're delivering your interpretation of Bach, since I brought up Marina Piccinini, when you are delivering Copland or Bach or whatever, get in front of your sound and be in the driver's seat. And what I think that does is it totally is the opposite of being timid or meek. You're not asking for permission. You are the authority. You're delivering it and you're saying, hey, listen up. I have something to say. And you are completely authoritative and owning your space. And by doing that, you're going to have this really engaging connection with your audience members. And being in this driver's seat, owning your voice, being authentic, being genuine, it goes all back to the beginning of this episode. Your performance anxiety is going to diminish exponentially. I promise you. The more you own your voice and you don't compare apples to oranges and you realize you're not Jane, you're not Joe, you're not Maria, you are not Jose, you are going to be more confident. And by having that confidence, you are going to take up space in a very healthy way. And remember, that there's no space for competition because everyone's path and everyone's experiences and voice is truly one of a kind. So I encourage you to start podcasting, or I encourage you to start hitting record on your DAW system and start recording these different ideas and sharing it with your friends. You've got to experience it, okay? And the more you do it, you are going to see a tremendous growth, not only as being a public speaker, but also being a flutist within your practice room and on the concert stage. If you want to start your own podcast and you want to produce it with a purpose, I am actually selling right now my podcasting musician video. So the podcasting musician class has been offered 4 times this past year, and I've loved every second of these live sessions. But I've actually recorded TPM for anyone to consume it on your own schedule. Because the information is in this new video format, I am giving everybody a 40% discount from now until November 9th on the Podcasting Musicians video course. It has 12 video modules. It contains 5 hours of content, and 5 hours doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not, but it holds a lot of weight. There's a lot of bang for your buck because I boiled it down to 5 hours of rich content that you can use right now, and you can start getting to produce your podcast much quicker and much more efficiently rather than going through like 12 plus hours that have extra fluff. Okay? So if you want that 40% discount off of the TPM video, please use your code Heidi40. That's HEIDI 40. I hope you really consider podcasting and starting up your own digital show sooner than you realize, only because times are shifting. The market is shifting and the industry is changing. And because of this, we need to be adaptable and flexible. So not only could a podcast really amplify your business and get the right tribe in front of you to purchase your different products, services, and offerings, but it has a slew of other benefits that I just listed today. Being a podcaster has really boosted my musicality and has given me confidence beyond measure, where my performance anxiety has decreased, and I love being on stage and sharing wonderful, beautiful music with my friends. So consider starting a podcast today. Your business and your artistry will thank you later. Thank you for listening to today's episode, and until next time.
Let's talk about flute.